Hello, and today we're doing an FPL review of game week number 15. And it wasn't a good one, I've got to say. It really wasn't a good one. I didn't make any transfers this week. I thought I'd roll the transfer and make two free transfers in game week 16. By the way, if you want to know those transfers that I've made for game week 16, then check my FPL preview for the next game week, which is coming up at about half one. So check that one out. But in today's one, we are reviewing game week 15, and it was an absolute horror show. Let's get into it. The average points for this week was 41, and I scored myself 39. I mean, it's just so bad. The worst score of the season for me. I just don't know where it went wrong, because on paper, my team is good. It's just, I think this season, fantasy, it just needs to give me a break, because my team is solid, and it's just getting too hard to predict right now. But yeah, we got two below the average, and well done to the person that got 110 points this week, called Shaba Par, of course managed by Musa Ba from the country of Tanzania. So well done to that. 110 points is impressive stuff because they bench boost with Meslier and Sterling both on the bench. And of course, captaining Fernandes would have got you a pretty good score this week. But I don't have Fernandes in my team, and I captained Salah this week. Oh, I think everyone captained Salah pretty much, but it was just an absolute troll because he did nothing against West Brom. A fixture you'd think would be points galore, but it wasn't to be. And I got a game week rank this week of 4,336,119, which is pretty sloppy stuff. You know, we want to be doing well, especially with the FPL Cup coming up. But the way I'm going, we could easily get knocked out very early. Or, you know, we have to have quite a decent rank to even get into it. So hopefully I can do that. But let's see how it goes. So yeah, I don't know. I just looked at last week because I scored myself a very solid 79 points and thought, do I need to change my team for this week? No, I just simply didn't because the fixtures looked really nice. You had Salah facing West Brom, you had Son facing Wolves, which was quite a decent fixture. De Bruyne facing Newcastle, Bamford facing up against, of course, this week Burnley. So you thought, come on, this is going to be loads of points, but Bamford was the only man to score this week, and it's just an absolute travesty. Oh dear. Right, let's go through each player and then I'll reveal my rank and basically my general thoughts about this week. So let's start off with in goal. We had Alex McCarthy, and he was in a fixture against Fulham. You'd have expected a clean sheet, and I said in my FPL preview that I was hoping for it, but luckily he delivered. And you know, it was a 0-0 draw, a game that I thought, well, at the end of the day, McCarthy was probably expecting one, but at the end of the day, he still had to do it, and he didn't make enough saves to unfortunately get the bonus point, which would have been nice. But at the end of the day, a clean sheet is all you want from a goalkeeper, and you know we're happy about that. And McCarthy's got an interesting next fixture against West Ham. After that, he's got Liverpool, and then of course he's got the double game week against Leicester and Leeds. So I don't need to change him, of course. But then our back three was a very interesting one this week. We had Stuart Dallas, who, just like McCarthy, did all he needed to do, which is just keep a clean sheet. Obviously, it would have been nice to see some attacking returns from Dallas, but, you know, he's done so much for me in this team, so I'll let him off this week. So 6-pointer there from the man, the myth, the legend, Duke Dallas. But then Kurt Zouma. Kurt Zouma, really, I did not see Arsenal coming to the Emirates Stadium and doing that. It was a real shocker. I mean, first of all, can I just say, that Saka goal, there's no way he meant that. He definitely meant a cross. But of course he says in the post-match interview that he completely meant the chip. But yeah, Zouma obviously really struggled. That whole Chelsea team struggled. Maybe it's just a blip, but at the end of the day, it's worrying stuff because their next game is against Everton, Aston Villa, who, you know, can be up and down. Whereas after that, they've got Man City, then they've got Fulham. So it's really up and down a bit with Chelsea, but they are on a bit of a bad run, it's got to be said, and I'm hoping they can turn that around against Aston Villa. But Kurt Zouma, 1-pointer, you hate to see it, and I was hoping to maybe get a headed goal, but the fact that he conceded 3 just really did hurt. So The next defender we had was Aaron Cresswell, and he was my only defender to get an attacking return this week. And he got himself a lovely assist for that goal from Souček. Now, it's a great ball in. That's why I've got Cresswell, because the corners is just so good for him. And it's a good delivery into Souček, and he just heads it in for that West Ham equaliser. It's crazy with Souček, isn't it? Because I feel like in so many FPL teams, people have got him, but they bench him every week. So, yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. But, yeah, I was happy with Cresswell. It's just a shame that he had to go and concede 2 goals, because that took one off what would have been 5 points for him. And maybe, just maybe, if Brighton hadn't scored so much, then he might have got a cheeky 1 bonus point, depending on how the game went out. But at the end of the day, 4 points from a defender is not terrible. We don't mind it too much. So we move on to our midfield, and this is where my game week was lost. Basically, this is where we all had an absolute cry at my FPL team, because first of all, Kevin De Bruyne, he's got a nice home fixture against Newcastle, and everyone's saying, "Oh, Man City, they're really good, and you know they might not be scoring many goals, but they're going to turn with the fixtures." I mean, they beat Manchester. Manchester beat Newcastle, but De Bruyne just frustrating. Like, there was that chance where he's 1-on-1 with Darlow, and Darlow smothers it, and just De Bruyne just not getting in the thick of things. And yes, you could say he got the clean sheet, but at home against a leaky team like Newcastle, you'd expect Man City to probably score more than 2. But if they do score 2, that he'd be involved in at least one of those. But yeah, really annoying, that one, as my vice captain. But then moving on to Jarrod Bowen, and this was really frustrating. I literally said in my FPL preview that this was the week for Jarrod Bowen. It was his time to shine, and I brought him in for that Palace game. Then I benched him, and I benched him again for the game against Chelsea. So I thought, right, I'm starting you this time. This is the time you score your first goal for my team, in your first start for my team. But, I mean, David Moyes, what are you thinking, son? Don't take him off at 45 minutes. It's just ridiculous. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe if he plays 90 minutes, he gets a return there. But, I don't know. I've just not seen enough from Bowen recently. And it seems whenever I bring in these players, they stop doing well. Before that, they were on a good run. But yeah, really annoying, that one. Then Son, 3-pointer against Wolves. I pretty much called it in my FPL preview. I said that I didn't think there'd be any returns for Son, though I was still playing him because of the 3 carries. It just was a sort of game that Wolves really stuck out and defended well and nullified Spurs' threats. And Harry Kane was quiet as well. Son looked a little bit fatigued, which is a bit worrying, but it's understandable with the hectic schedule. So we're not going to look too much into that. And, of course, Son Heung-min has got a tasty fixture next against Fulham that we will be hoping for some big points against. And, obviously, Leeds after that is very nice also. So, yeah, I'm not willing to get rid of Son, but, yeah, he needs to pick up his form. The thing with Son is that you're relying on a goal on the break. And so, the thing with Tottenham is they have done that a lot this season. But as you've seen in the last 3 or 4 games, it's starting to fall away a little bit. Obviously, the Liverpool game was brilliant, but then they lost that one as well. So ever since that Arsenal game, really, they haven't really showed a bit of consistency in terms of getting those goals on the break. But, you know, hopefully they can get some more points against Fulham and against Leeds. But this was the one that I thought, come on, at least we know that this guy's going to get points. And everyone captained him. It's Mo Salah at home to West Brom. And he just does nothing. And it's just a really annoying one. West Brom, they've done it twice now. Gone to the home of the champions from previous seasons. First Man City, now Liverpool. And Sam Allardyce. I said it, didn't I? That in my Premier League predictions, he was the last man to beat Liverpool at Anfield. He didn't quite do that because that would have been, you know, a miracle really. But still worked his magic. And, you know, it was last minute stuff really from Ajayi. But at the end of the day, Liverpool they sat off a little bit in the second half. They didn't really run home their advantage, and that was what paid for Liverpool. And Salah, a frustrating one, because there was that chance where Robertson whipped it in, and Salah was just a little bit too behind the ball there, stretching but couldn't reach it. And then, of course, a few times where he was dribbling forward, trying to get the ball at the dying embers for Liverpool to try and snatch it, and he just lost it, or it was blocked, or, you know, he'd dribble out of play. So, yeah, really annoying one for that captaincy. I mean, to be fair, like I wasn't going to ever captain Patrick Bamford, but he would have been my best returner this week. And I was going to captain De Bruyne, and if I had have captained De Bruyne, I actually had him as vice captain. But if I had have captained him, he would have obviously got only just a couple of points more than Salah. So it's really one of those weeks you just got to forget about and think this never happened. Game week 16, better things have to come. And really, we need redemption over the horizon. And then Grealish, 2-pointer. I mean, Jack Grealish, mate, you've done well against West Brom, but other than that, you've just not done well. I mean, when you score 3 goals in a game where you're playing with 10 men, you'd think, okay, let's have at least one return from Grealish. But once again, he's just a bit too quiet and a bit too frustrating. But with Jack Grealish, I'm probably going to hold him because he's still a good player. And on his day, even against the big teams that Villa have got coming up, he could still do something and produce moments of magic. So I'm not worried too much about Grealish, despite that 2-pointer. And then Bamford. Bamford, 8 points. What a legend. The guy that scored the goal this week in my team, and it's really encouraging to see that he looks like he's back, or at least back, or not back, but now onto penalties for Leeds. Obviously, Click was taking them early in the season, and I think he missed a couple at some point. But yeah, that was a really well taken penalty from him, and yeah, I'm hoping it keeps on going for Leeds. But yeah, 8-pointer, got some bonus points too, in fact. So that was really, really good stuff. And then, of course, my other forward, Calvert-Lewin, 1 point. 1 point against Sheffield United. It's just really annoying. And he just keeps picking up these irrelevant yellow cards. And it does really frustrate you. But again, Calvert-Lewin, with, the same with Grealish. Calvert-Lewin is Calvert-Lewin. On his day, he can score lots of points. It's just not really worked for him in the last few away games, especially against Leicester. I mean, he got an assist, but do you really count that as a good return? Not really. And also against Arsenal, he just was quite quiet. So, yeah, it's been a long time since a Calvert-Lewin goal. Game week 11, in fact. So, we really need to see one against Man City, but it's a very tough test. And then he's got a decent run of fixtures. West Ham, Wolves. So, yeah, whether I get rid of him or not is another question, but he may be one that I get rid of before the double game week, seeing as he doesn't have one. And then, of course, the rest of my team, Macy on the bench got 0. Standard stuff, we don't mind about that. Wilson was my first sub, and he actually didn't play. So I'm actually very glad I didn't play him this week. I mean, you could say that it wouldn't have mattered, because if I'd have played Wilson and, say, had, I don't know, Bowen on the bench, then I would have got the point extra for Bowen anyway. But at the end of the day, I had a feeling Wilson wouldn't play, so at least I wasn't frustrated by that. Because Steve Bruce said how Wilson's been playing a lot of games week in, week out. And then James Justin, my second sub, I was just really praying that he wouldn't get anything against Man United, and that was the case, so that I didn't regret it benching him. Man United was always going to be a tough fixture, and Fernandes ran right in that one, but obviously it didn't take long for Leicester to lose their clean sheet, and Justin didn't really show anything going forward. So, that's the way it goes. But finally, we had Jimmy Dunn, of course, 0-pointer. That is standard stuff. So that wraps up what was an absolute shocker of a game week. And yeah, we just really don't like that. The nightmare after Christmas, that's what it's called. And it's below average. You never want to be below average in a game week. And all that went my way was a Bamford penalty and a Cresswell corner. So yeah, it's a faceplant moment for Salah. And it's really annoying because it is, of course, a red arrow. 130k decrease for the red arrow. And it leaves me now just inside 900k. And in total, my rank this week, or at least overall now, is going to be 899,978. So I'm literally hanging on to being just inside 900k. So it's not good, really. We were on a nice rhythm. I think we had 2 consecutive red arrows a few weeks ago. Then we got a green arrow back. And then we got a red arrow. And then we got a green arrow. And then we got like 2 red arrows in a row now. So it's not good. And we were looking to get 600k. We dropped down to like 750k. And now we've dropped down to 899. So yeah, it's really not ideal. But we have to just hope that game week 16 is better and game week 17. And then, of course, the blank and double game weeks are going to hopefully provide lots of points. But yeah, it's an interesting one. We move on to game week number 16, and make sure you check my preview for that. But at the end of the day, hopefully the only way is up after this week. It is what it is. That's the way it goes.